Hello, and welcome to the Modern Day Intuitive Podcast. I am Sarah Noble, a certified shamanic energy medicine practitioner, somatic embodiment coach, Akashic record reader, spiritual mentor, and teacher of energy management and meditation. This podcast is born from my passion to help you reconnect with your heart and intuition. In each episode, you'll hear me channel guided spiritual information for a guest around a specific question or decision in their life. Afterwards, I break down the call so you can better understand how to connect with your own intuitive gifts, your spirit guides, and soul family. I will also give you practical exercises and tools that you can use to deepen your understanding of how to use this in your day-to-day life. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our caller. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am so excited about today's show. I have something a little different for you, something a little bit special. It started when Priyanka Kumar reached out to me for a school project that she is completing, sort of publication on intuition. And she had this really beautiful idea for creating something that was a space for people to share and talk about intuition. And when we connected about what might be best, we decided that we would do a guidance reading for the publication to see what its purpose was, who it was here to serve, how it could help. And we went on this beautiful journey of some really amazing things that she is creating for the world. And in talking to her since that reading, she is going to be turning this publication into a community, into a virtual place, a website where she can have contributors come and share their gifts and be who they are. Her website is inyourseventhsense.com. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. She's currently building it out, so she might need a little time to fully get on top of it. Our conversation gives a lot of information for intuitive development, including what it can feel like in your body as you begin to connect more deeply with your intuition, the importance of vulnerability and authenticity on your intuitive journey, and how there are no coincidences in life, only synchronicities, and that are actually guiding us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves. I also talk a little bit about how we are not alone here in our journey or separate from each other, that we have a spirit family that's supporting us, and that so many of us are experiencing the same things. We just believe it's just ourselves that is going through it. Plus, I lead you through an exercise where you can practice opening your heart and connecting to your intuition. So I hope you enjoy my wonderful call today with Priyanka. Thank you. Hi, and welcome. Thanks for being here. If you want to just start out and give a little bit of a sort of brief synopsis of your project and why we're here today.
Of course. Firstly, hi, thank you for having me. I'm Priyanka. I'm working on this publication called Seventh Sense. It's a publication to get more in touch with your intuition and your inner landscape. It's basically about exploring your internal world, and in the context of having lived through a really difficult year where all of us were kind of left with nobody but ourselves in a certain capacity. And I think this publication is really aimed at kind of helping people be alone but together and finding a community in which to explore that landscape, by themselves and not kind of feel so daunted and kind of feel more comfortable and feel like they're not alone as they figure this out. So that's kind of where I was coming at with this. And I was kind of hoping to figure out what role and like how Seventh Sense would kind of fit into the community and the people it touches.
Okay, I love it. Let's see what we can find out about its purpose and what it's going to bring to the world. So, the first image that I see is you playing the cello, and it has this really beautiful feeling of like you're playing this melancholy song, and it's a call. It's a call to people's soul and their remembering of who they truly are, and you're playing this beautiful music that is just drawing people to you and calling them forward, calling them into remembering why they're here. And there's this double meaning. So it's as you're calling them in with this music, you're also writing this publication. So there's this outpouring of energy that is coming from you that is the publication itself, and you're composing it is the feeling of it, that it's has a life, it has an energy and a force that it's bringing with it, and you're the instrument basically, right? Like this channeled instrument to bring this beautiful creation into the world. And so I think you would ask, like, what is the purpose of it? If we want to start there, does that feel good?
That sounds great. Yeah.
So as the notes are coming off the instrument, the image that is coming forward is they're like laying out this path. And along the path, there are all these flowers that are growing. And it's this idea of waking up and blossoming and blooming and showing our true colors to the world, not being afraid to be exactly who we are, who we came here to be. There's this idea of coming out from the shadows and allowing our authentic, true heart to be allowed to be seen. There's a vulnerability that I feel that this work that you're creating is going to call out of people. It's going to give them a space to be vulnerable, to be seen, to be heard, and to be just allowed to be who they truly are. Vulnerability is a big piece. It's really letting people know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be vulnerable, that there's so much strength and courage in our vulnerability. Not only is there this readership piece that as people read what is put forward, or they listen to, or they just put their eyes on however it comes into reality, there's space inside them that's being created that brings a real sense of peace. And then the other part of it is there's also, I see it as having many contributors, and those contributors are allowed to be vulnerable too, in the way that they present their work, in the way that they open up part of themselves to be seen by readers, by listeners. It's like there's these two sides of how it's going to really help people connect with this part inside themselves that they believed was not okay to be shown and seen. It feels very tender right now is the word. Oh, it's very interesting because it's this part of it feels very, very tender. And then yet underneath it, it has this really strong foundation of faith and love and security. It's showing me like a book being opened in this beautiful, tender way with this really solid foundation to be laid upon. It's almost like a pedestal and a heart as well, is what I'm getting. And it can be opened to the world. Like it's okay to open our heart and show ourselves. And that's how the publication is showing itself. Like if I do this and show you it's okay, you can do this too. How is that resonating or landing for you?
Uh, I got goosebumps. Is really the only thing I have to say. It also feels a lot like there's something just very like open in my chest. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't often get that feeling, but just like a very open. It's like what's the right word? It is. This is going to sound a little cheesy, but it is a little bit like there's like a flower that just kind of bloomed and opened right there, like in my chest area, and like it's usually when I feel this kind of openness there, it scares me, but it's not scaring me right now, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's so supported. Like that's that piece, right? Like you're speaking to like the vulnerability that we want to shy away from. because it
Mhm.
feels like that's going to be scary. And yet, this is showing you that when you open your heart, it's supported and it's okay to do that. I can feel it. Like I'm feeling it with you as you're experiencing it. So
Yeah. Ooh,
Mhm.
wow. It's definitely more intense than I realized.
Mm,
I will say that.
yeah. I think that, like that feeling, that idea, like if you start to doubt or if you start
Mhm.
to have any questions, it's the idea of coming back to this and really
Mhm.
tuning in with this and allowing this to guide you and lead you as you bring this forward. Because from that first image of the instrument, the music, the notes, this is coming through you for the world. Like
Mhm.
there's a higher energy and source that is bringing this through you. Really connect back into yourself as you create this so that it does flow through you
Yeah.
from this beautiful open heart space that you're creating.
Yeah.
Hmm. I know you had a couple other questions or things that you wanted to bring forward. So, does it feel good to move on to the second?
Yeah, absolutely. So if the first question was what role would this play in like specifically in the life of a reader, the second question is what's its purpose in a larger context and what does Seven Sense voice add to the community?
What it's showing me is unity. It's creating a place where people can come together where they don't have to feel different and they don't have to feel that they're the only one that feels this way or wants these things or doesn't understand these things that are happening. Like intuition is such a big part of who we are, and yet we haven't learned to cultivate it. And so it feels very foreign to so many of us. And what Seventh Sense is showing me is this unity, like it's bringing in different people, different communities, different belief systems, all these different components that are coming together, forming this whole in the center that is a common space that is shared, basically unites people so they don't feel alone in what they're experiencing or what they're going through. And it's a place that they can come to have questions answered and to ask their awkward question, because it's not awkward once it's spoken and once it's in this sort of held safe open container that's being created.
Mhm.
It feels like there's a real big community element that can be created from it, like taking my breath away because it feels so warm and loving and inviting. How does that feel to you?
Good. It's what I was hoping to, it was one of my intentions walking in. So that feels very good. And also, I'm relieved. I'm glad that intention like seems to be translating.
Mhm. Yeah. What else would you like to know?
I guess my last question was, and this is a bit broad, but I guess why is it important? And maybe why is it important right now?
It's important right now because the world has gone through such a big phase of being physically separated. So many people are beginning to ask those deeper questions. And just like yourself, how you use this time to turn inward. We've almost been forced as a society to do that. And
Mhm.
because of that, there's been this shift. And as we come out of our separateness, we want to come back together intentionally.
Mm.
And so people are looking for intentional spaces, intentional communities, intentional ways that they can bring their energy back into the world. So many people have re-examined their lives and come to this place of asking the question of what is important. And it's causing them to look more deeply at what's important and for things that align with what is important to them. And
Mhm.
so creating something that connects into this importance for them. It's like it's again, it's back to that calling in, right? The music calling forward those people, calling them together, and giving people a space to come to that is about unity. That is about being different together, and getting this idea of like, yes, our individuality and yes, our differences. However, we're all one. We're not really separate. That's an illusion. And so, Seventh Sense is giving people a place to be an individual and be part of something bigger than themselves, so that they remember that we are all the same.
Mhm.
It feels, it's this really, really beautiful feeling. So it feels, on one level, it feels so expansive. And on the
Mhm.
other side, there's this really like beautiful knitted togetherness of where it's safe. It's like pulled together, like almost like this really big hug is how it feels. And so we can be expansive, and yet we can also be like together and hugged and close and knitted together. As we've sort of gone on this journey, is there anything that else that has come up for you, or anything you'd like to say or ask, or where are you at?
I am mostly filled with desire to really like see this through. There are parts of my mind that are kind of throwing up all of these logistical things and are like, well, how will this happen? Would this be possible given so and so status and so something else? And I'm just kind of trying to take in like that the answers will come and like the help will come when it needs to.
That's a big part of that, really remembering that this is coming through you, that you are
Hmm.
not wholly responsible for creating this, its own entity, its own life. It
Hmm.
really does feel that way, and it's coming through you. You have been chosen to bring this through into the world. And so to lean into that, it's not all your responsibility. Spirit is doing a lot of this work for you. You are the vessel, you are the earthly person that is
Hmm.
birthing this. And as with birthing processes can feel hard, remember that at the end, what we birth is so worth it.
Hmm.
And the more that you lean into the support, that the unseen support, the less you are going to have to push through and figure out, and oh gosh, how am I going to do this? The more that you can just really allow that beautiful feminine creative energy to come forward, the
Hmm.
less you're going to struggle.
Got it.
Mhm. So what they're saying is, if you get stuck, rather
Hmm.
than sit there and kind of like pull your hair out kind of image is what I'm getting, go take a walk, go take a bath, and allow the answers to just drop in to solve the problem. Don't try to figure things out.
Got it.
If you catch yourself in that place, remember, oh, yeah, I it's not about me right now, and just go and let your mind be cleared, so that then the idea can drop in.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Really, really lean into the creativity and like the creation as opposed to
Mhm.
problem solving.
Yeah. And fun. They're saying, like, make it fun, not creating because you have to put this out into the world and hopefully people are going to like it. And create from the place of what lights you up, what that expansive feeling that you had in your heart of the flower opening, what
Hmm.
makes you feel like that. And when you can connect into that, create from there. That's
Okay.
what's really going to bring this through the way that it's intended. If you get caught up in what you think other people want it to be, that will make the struggle. Whereas if you are just in that space of, I am so lit up and so excited about this right now, and this is what happened, and let
Hmm.
that be how it unfolds and comes forward, it's just going to flow right out of you.
Got it. Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to say or ask?
Just thank you. This was very, just thank you. Just a lot of gratitude. That's all.
You're welcome. I really enjoyed this. Thank you to Priyanka for being here with us today and bringing this beautiful creation of hers into the world, Seventh Sense publication. You may have noticed how, as I was reading the information, it was a little bit of stopping and starting and this feeling that a lot of information was coming in at the same time, and there were a lot of images, there were a lot of feelings. And this can be how our intuition comes in when we start to be more connected to it. There's this sense of information rushing in. For me, it's more of a knowingness. For you, it might be more of a feeling or a sensation, or you're hearing words. Whatever that might look like, the more connected to recognizing how your intuition is speaking to you, we begin to have these different sensations as our intuition begins to flow more freely in our body. And for me, as I was reading for this Seventh Sense publication, it had so much energy that it was almost hard to hold it all at certain times. And I felt myself needing to almost create a timeline where I could follow the information as it was being given to me. So I offer this information to you as a way to not get overwhelmed as you become more sensitive to information and as you start to feel it rush in. Know that that's a normal part of your intuitive development and that you can learn to work with that in a way that you can still receive the information that's needed. I love that one of the publication's teaching pieces was about vulnerability and being our authentic self. There is nothing that will connect you more deeply to your intuition than being authentic and vulnerable. They almost coexist together. And the more that you can clear your shadow, the more that you allow yourself to be seen for who you truly are, the deeper you're able to really turn inward and connect with this beautiful flow of creative energy that comes in for us. Also, the more you allow yourself to be different, to be unique, to be exactly who you are meant to be, is another way that you can connect to your intuition rather than block it. The imagery of a flower opening in Priyanka's chest when I checked back in with her is such a beautiful image. And it actually, interestingly enough, is an exercise or technique that I use to help students get more in touch with their intuition. If we can focus in on our heart, which is essentially the transmitter of our intuition, of intuitive information that comes into us, and practice opening it like a flower. So just to imagine, if you can right now, close your eyes and imagine a bud of a flower. Any flower is perfect. I like to use a rose or possibly some sort of flower that starts out in a tight bud and opens up into a larger flower. And just go ahead and envision that tight bud in the middle, in the center of your heart, the heart space. It's right in the center of your chest where your heart chakra is. Our physical heart is a little more over to the left. Our energetic heart is right in the center. And if you go ahead and just connect in with your breath for a few moments, and then use your imagination. For each time you breathe in, imagine that bud just slightly opening a little more. And then breathe out and let it open a little wider. And as you breathe in, see those petals opening wider. And as you breathe out, allow that blossom to fully open. And just breathe in and out of this beautiful flower that is open in your heart. This simple exercise is a great way to connect in to your heart and your intuition, and is so easy to do just in a moment. What also came through with this publication was this idea that we're being called forward. I believe there are no coincidences in life. There's just divine guidance and divine timing. And when we can align ourselves with those principles, that's when we start to notice those signs that are happening all around us all the time. We also start to hear this calling that's happening inside us. We're being called forward to step more into our intuition. We're entering a phase in our evolution as a society, as a planet, where this calling forward is getting greater. It's becoming closer to the surface. More people are getting the sense that they're waking up to something that is bigger than they are. And this pull to get to know ourselves on a deeper level and have a deeper relationship with our intuition is not a coincidence. It is part of why we are here. And so, you being here listening to this podcast is no coincidence. That part of you, that intuitive knowing, is just asking you to connect. Another theme that came through the publication is the idea of creativity. And I've talked about this before on this podcast. And it's dear to my heart because we are essentially co-creators with spirit. That is what we are here to do, is co-create our life, co-create for not just ourselves, but for our planet, for our towns, our communities, our family, and for ourselves, for the greater good of everyone. And so this idea that creativity flows through us is a form of our intuition. Those ideas that you have, those dreams that you have, those are all part of your intuition, that deeper knowing that you are here for a much bigger purpose than just going to work to pay the bills, or stuck in that relationship that is no longer serving you, the job that is just not fulfilling anymore. All those are signs that your creativity is not flowing the way that it could be. And you're being asked to follow that heart, follow that dream, step into something bigger. You're here for that purpose. We also talked about the idea of unity versus separation. We have this illusion that we are here and we're each our own individual separate being. And yes, we are in a human body, and that is separate from the human body next to me. However, when we look deeper on the soul level, on the level of our intuitive knowing, we're not separate. We're all one. We're all connected. We share the same thoughts. We share the same feelings. A lot of us even share the same experiences. And so, this idea of unity connecting us not just connects us to each other, but also connects us to our higher guidance, to our higher selves, to God, to spirit, to source, whatever word works for you. Just that idea that there's a larger picture at play, that something greater than ourselves is orchestrating our lives and our experiences. And that the more we can connect in with that, the more fulfilled we are, the more we are living from a soul level as opposed to just from a human level. When we really can see that life happens for us, things don't just happen to us, there's a bigger picture at play. And as we tap into that, we can start to dance with life. We can start to co-create and call experiences in for ourselves that are more in alignment with our heart and what we are here to do. I really loved the piece when I was shown this idea of being knitted together and at the same time being so expansive, and the idea of a really big hug. And there was a lot of sensation for me around that energy that was coming through Priyanka and her publication. And this real sense of turning inward, finding ourselves in relationship to the world around us, and how everything is energy, and we're all intermeshed with each other, and we are all in this thing called life together. We don't need to feel alone. We don't need to feel separated. We don't need to feel less than, not good enough, not worthy enough. We are whole, complete, and deserving and connected. And I really, really wish for you to know that, to know that your heart is held, you are guided, And as you connect in with your intuition, it's not just about knowing what's best for you or which path to take or what side of the decision should I land on. It's about feeling that deeper sense of purpose, that deeper sense of connection, that deeper sense that you're part of something and that you're not alone in what you feel and think. And that segues into the idea of leaning into that unseen support that we talked about, how it's all around us. And the more we can lean into that, the less struggle we have in our life, the less we go back and forward, sort of fighting with the mind of what am I doing? What is this? Should I go this way? Should I go that way? When we really lean into that unseen support, we know that everything is always going to work out. It might feel hard, it might seem bad, in quotes, and yet it's all working to bring expansion to us as a soul and to really move our life forward in the direction that we want to go. And as we are able to connect in with this bigger picture, this more expansive energy that surrounds us, we begin to remember who we truly are. And we can hear not just the voice of our intuition, but can begin to connect in with our spirit guides, with our angels, with our power animals, with the unseen forces that are here in this lifetime with us. I have a yoga teacher that says it in a way that I love, where we have this soul family, this group of souls that we belong to, and we're the one of that family that incarnated on earth, chose to be in the human body this time. And that soul family is still here with us. They're still here helping us, guiding us, protecting us, nudging us along in the direction that we want to go, even if we don't realize it at the time. And what happens is when we are born, we forget about that part and we have to relearn how to see this unseen support. And it is possible. It's possible for everybody. I was not born being able to see my guides and my soul family. It was something that called to me. It was something I was drawn towards, and it's something that I had to practice. I still practice. I used to live in a way that was a lot more self-guided, in that I needed to control things. I needed to understand how things worked. I was very much in my mind. There wasn't a lot of space for my intuition to flow through me because I lived in my mind. I forgot I had a body. I forgot I had all these spirit friends and family that were supporting me and guiding me. And through a long journey inward, I was able to reconnect with them and arrive in this place where life is a lot more full and rich. And through that, this passion of wanting to share that with you so that you too can remember who you are and really move into this space that your heart longs for. So, my loves, as you go out in the world today, I invite you to live from the heart. Know that you are a soul on a journey and call in that creative energy. Live from your heart and dream big. If you are interested in finding out what your intuitive superpower is, I've created a quiz that you can find on my website at www.themoderndayintuitive.com. Just jump on there and take the quiz and see which of your intuitive gifts is the strongest. Also, if you're interested in meditating with me, you can find my meditations on the Insight Timer app at Sarah Noble, The Modern Day Intuitive. I'd love to see you over there. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or are interested in learning more about intuition, meditation, and connecting with your spirit guides. And for those of you that are intuitive readers, if you're interested in hearing how I open and close my readings, check the show notes. There's a link to a video where I teach you my tools and tips to open and close. Thanks again for being here, and I honor you for being on this journey with me. Thanks so much for tuning in today and making your personal and spiritual growth a priority in your life. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd love if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show to grow and assists me on my mission of having intuition be a part of everybody's life. For more information on reconnecting with your heart and intuition, head on over to my website, www.themoderndayintuitive.com, where you can listen to free meditations, sign up to be a guest on the podcast, learn how you can work with me in person, find links to my social media platforms, and much more. And a big thank you from my heart to yours for making the planet a better place by having the courage to look inward to develop your intuition.